Continuing our coverage of the federal government shutdown, Eric Boehm of Reason Magazine talks with Jeremy Dalrymple of the R Street Institute about the impact on spending.
Starting at midnight on Wednesday morning, the federal government shut down. And a government shutdown is, of course, never quite as comprehensive as that term might suggest. A lot of government programs just keep right on functioning despite the budget impasse in Congress. But nevertheless, this is the big story in federal policy this week and potentially for a few weeks to come. Who knows how long this will drag on for, and there will be some serious repercussions for regular Americans as well that will be felt sooner or later. But is this the path to actually reducing the size and cost of government, or is this all just a big distraction? That's the question that I will ask my guest today. Hi, folks. I'm Eric Boehm with Reason Magazine. Thanks for joining us on this edition of American Radio Journal. My guest today is Jeremy Dalrymple. He is the Associate Director for the Governance Program at the R Street Institute. I think it's his first time on the show here, so we're glad to welcome you to American Radio Journal. Jeremy, thanks for taking some time with us today.
Absolutely. Thanks, Eric, and glad to be here.
Yeah, we're glad to have you here, Jeremy. Look, we are at this point, we're recording this on Wednesday afternoon, full disclosure. By the time anybody out there is listening to it, it's very possible that the government shutdown could be over, or this could go on for weeks. We don't know. But as I was driving into the city this morning, I noticed that traffic was still as heavy or maybe even heavier than usual. It didn't seem like Washington, D.C. had just ground to a halt. And I guess that's a pretty good metaphor for the way these government shutdowns work. They're not really complete shutdowns by any means.
Almost never. That's one of the key things that they always say, that it's more of a slowdown than an actual shutdown.
Yeah, before we get into more of the big picture stuff, if you can just quickly bring us up to speed here for people who haven't been paying attention. How did we end up in this situation? Why is this shutdown happening?
Absolutely. So just giving a little bit of a background real quick. So Congress failed to fund the government before the end of the fiscal year, which was September 30th at midnight. So now we've rolled on to October 1st, and the government is not funding. So that's triggered the first government shutdown since 2019. Where we stand right now is the House of Representatives had approved CR, which is a continuing resolution that would have funded the government through November 21st, I believe. The Senate had taken it up. However, because of a unanimous consent agreement, it required 60 votes to approve it. And when they voted on it last night, the vote was 55 to 45. So they weren't able to hit that 60 vote threshold, so they weren't able to pass it. And because of that, the government has now shut down.
Yeah, that's right. And look, we are, less than 24 hours in as we are talking right now. Sometimes these shutdowns go on for just a few days. Sometimes they go on for a week or two. No clear sense yet of exactly how long this could drag out for. We're chatting with Jeremy Dalrymple. He is the Associate Director of the Governance Program at the R Street Institute. Jeremy, let's zoom out a little bit here, kind of big picture thing. Look, I'm a libertarian. I don't like a lot of the stuff the government does. I think the government does a lot of things very poorly, that it does a lot of things it shouldn't be doing in the first place. So when I hear the phrase government shutdown, there is a part of me, an emotional part of me, that is just this sounds great. Shut it down, get rid of it. We can deal without it. It doesn't really matter. But I've been around long enough now to have gone through a bunch of these things. You have too. And, I don't know, is there a track record here to suggest that these shutdowns actually move us towards, say, a smaller or more efficient or less expensive government?
The way it's worked in the past is that the obligations are still there. After the 2019 shutdown, Congress had passed a law mandating that everyone that was furloughed during this time would receive back pay. So everyone's still going to be paid. It's going to be a temporary thing. In fact, there are a lot of other grants that are not paid through the appropriation process are still going to be going out the door. And a lot of other things are just going to still be piling up.
Yeah, to that same point, then, we've heard a lot this week from the Trump administration, from the director of the Office of Management and Budget, for example, talking about how there could be mass layoffs of federal employees if this goes on for a while. Again, sounds like, that could be a positive development here. Yeah, we should have fewer people working in the federal government. But I wonder, again, does that actually actually get us towards a government that spends less, that borrows less, or that seems like something that ultimately has to come from Congress rather than the executive branch, right?
Absolutely. I think that's one of the things I really want to focus on is Congress as the first branch and the ability to restore them to their rightful place. The founders, when they were drafting the Constitution, put the budget in the control and in the hands of Congress. And Congress can't delineate that duty. It shouldn't get rid of it. It's what they're actually paid to do. And bringing that up to congressmen and senators are still going to be paid during the shutdown. There were a few people that are exempted from this and will be receiving their salary along with their president. But yeah, when you brought up the reduction in forces, the RIF, so we've seen statements come out from OMB and OPM on this. And really what it is there is they're talking about this is a result of the appropriation process being broken and appropriations actually not taking place. They're saying, hey, look, we're having to do this reduction in force because you didn't pass the appropriation bills on time. And OPM put in one of their memos that came out that said, hey, if you actually fund the government and start it back up again, we might not necessarily be doing these reduction in forces. It's really falls in Congress's court right now.
Yeah, it seems like that's the case with just so many of the problems that are facing the country right now, facing the federal government at least right now. It always seems to come back to Congress's inability to pass a budget, Congress's inability to do the one thing that it really is supposed to do and care about and focus on, and that is handle the fiscal affairs of the federal government. And until that changes, I don't think it's going to change anytime soon, but until it does, we will continue to have these types of situations. Jeremy, that's unfortunately all the time we have for today. Thanks for filling us in on all that. Really helpful, great conversation.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me, Eric.
And once again, that is Jeremy Dalrymple. He's the Associate Director of the Governance Program at the R Street Institute. Check out their work online at rstreet.org. Follow our ongoing coverage of the government shutdown. If it is indeed still shut down by the time you're listening to this, find all of that at reason.com. For Reason Magazine, I'm Eric Boehm. Catch me right back here next week on another edition of American Radio Journal.